Howdy, welcome to Scotland's M2O. In this case it's Mull to Oban, or the island of Mull, back to the mainland on Oban. This is a run that on paper looks like it should be a bit of a classic, but reality is that it's quite a tricky one. You've got a lot of ferries going over to Mull, so transport over there is really easy, but coming back is quite tricky because Mull itself is a very mountainous island and creates its own weather. It's completely exposed to the west. On the west side there's nothing between Mull and basically Canada. So you've got all this moist Atlantic air that comes across and ends up condensating out over Mull, which forms giant clouds and really creates its own sort of weather systems out there. So the wind can be super fluky. In addition to that, you've got some big tides, and there's a bit of a squeeze zone between an island called Lismore and Mull. And that squeeze zone's in the lighthouse that is coming up on the right-hand side of the ferry there. And there's a tidal race that goes through there that looks pretty scary at times. So you've got to basically, everything's got to line up. The wind's got to line up. Tides really need to be neap tides, and preferably you want to be there on the tide change. So we're going through the tidal race with the ferry right now, and it's hard to appreciate what it's like, but it is pretty crazy. So before the tidal race, you've got a long flat water section as well that you need to get through, which is obviously quite tricky on the sup because the bumps don't really start that great. You're in a bit of a channel called the Sound of Mull, and then from there on, you got to make it through the tidal race, and then once you're at the other side, all good. This is the first time that we did this run. We've done it going the other way before, just using wings. Probably did it a few years ago the first time, and done it a couple of times since. But this is the first time we've done it in this direction. So a little bit of trepidation, obviously thinking about the wind and tides, but also there's an orca that's been sighted the last few days. It's a giant bull called John Coe, and he's been cruising around. No one's ever come across him in the water, so yeah, might run into him as well. That's Shane dropping his clothes off in the bin, which is pretty funny. He decided he wanted to carry a small bag. I'm just going through my gear here. So I've got my EPIRB, I've got my phone in a waterproof case, got some snacks. I'm taking 3 wings with me, so I've got the 3, 6 and 5 meter pocket rockets in the little ozone bag there, and I've also got a 4.5 meter power pack, or 4.3 power pack, which I was thinking I was probably going to mostly be using. And this is the start. Glorious day, nice clear water, and it's all go. There's a boy there off one of the yachts who's been out golfing. He's about to head back on his dinghy, and ferry has dropped us off. We had a cup of coffee, and just going to go for it basically. We're on the lee of the headland here, so there's very little wind on the inside here. We need to get out to the wind line. I'm going to take my chances with the bigger 5 meter pocket rocket V2, try and get up and riding and ride out to the wind line. Shane's on his big sup, so he'll be able to paddle out there fairly quickly, but I'm on kind of a semi-sinker mid-length board, so I don't really like to paddle too long a distance if I can help it. But yeah, wind is still quite light. First stash of the run, just to feel out the early bumps. There's not really much going on. We're in an area called the Sound of Mull, so you've got the mainland on the left hand side and you've got Isle of Mull on the right, and it's kind of a long winding channel. It can get really good bumps in there, but only in certain sections, and this section's still fairly flat, but good to get the blood flowing, a little bit of pumping action first up, and then yeah, it improves as we get down the channel towards Middle Lismore Light and the tidal race. So in the race here, it's kind of a crazy bit over there. Coming this way. I realised I never started my watch either. At this point I realise I haven't actually started my watch for a track, which is a bit of a bummer because it's already a few kilometres in, but anyway, there we go. Yeah! Woo! So I don't film anymore from here for a little while because the bumps get really hard to navigate. Very short chop inside the tidal race. But here I am now. I've gone through the little cut. I've still got the lighthouse there on the left hand side, but we're getting into really nice clean bumps now, and the riding suddenly gets magic. Yeah. What makes this run quite committing is that although in the beginning you're still close to like a couple of bits of land like Lismore, there's no civilization really. Like you got a lighthouse there, but no one lives anywhere near there, so you could land there maybe, but you got a very long walk to find a road, let alone any person to get a lift from. And there is a ferry from Lismore back to the mainland, but it leaves from right down the other end of the island, so you'd have to be really lucky to maybe get a lift, hitchhike or whatever, but yeah, you may as well just be in the open ocean already, because the bits of land that are around, they're no help to you really. So, and then once you leave the lighthouse, that's it. You're in the crossing, in the channel, back to Oban, and yeah, we're heading for a beach called Downwinder, and that'll be the finishing point. The run progresses, the bumps just start to organise more and more, and you can really see them starting to open up and stretch out, so it's getting more and more fun. Like you can just turn forever on these things. Struggling a little bit with mast height from time to time. I've got a fair bit of gear in my backpack. I've got the 3 Parawings on me, I've got a change of dry clothes, some warm clothes, I've got some water, I've got some muesli bars. I kind of went all out. I was really interested to see how I would go doing a downwinder, kind of carrying a bit of a expedition kit, I guess, you know, like with the 3 wings covering me for a big wind range and having spare clothes and stuff like that. Ultimately, I think there's a bit of a future in expedition parawinging, maybe. Maybe do a multi-day trip between the islands where, you know, you carry a bit of stuff and just stay in some Airbnbs or whatever on the way. Could be really cool. So yeah, just a bit of an experimentation just to see what it would be like riding with a bit of extra gear, and it's alright, it's fine. Just got to work on technique a bit, just staying high on that mast and not touching down so much, and yeah, just not being so conservative with the riding as well. You know, when you've got all that gear on, you're a little bit more reluctant to crash because you don't want to break any straps or anything like that. But it's all good. I think, yeah, I'm so excited about what expedition parawinging will open up in the future. It's cool. Got eyes on Downwinder Beach in front of me now, the finishing point. Feeling quite relieved that there's been no sign of John Coe the orca. Avoided all the other big boats, the big ferries that come through the channel and stuff. So yeah, this is now the final home stretch. All good. What a great run it's been. And here are the last bumps coming into the beach at Downwinder. Run is done. That was fucking epic, man. That was really good. Quite the adventure. Fucking hell. Definitely do that again. Scotland's M2O.